Hi, I'm Jennifer Anderson, Superstar Director of Radiant Rockstars. It's Tuesday night, Rockstar Rally Night, my favorite night of the week, where I get to spend it with all of you. Tonight, we're diving into events, fairs, festivals, shows, whatever you want to call them. This is probably one of my most requested topics that I get for Rockstar Rally, and I think it's completely appropriate. Now that the world is returning to normal, we're doing more fairs, festivals, events, shows, things are happening again. You're getting to go to a wine festival here or a dog show there or farmers markets. All of these things are back open, and this is the time for you to get in them as a Scentsy consultant. So I have been doing events pretty much my entire Scentsy career. I joined Scentsy in very late November 2010, and I did my first event in February 2011. So I was just 3 months into being a consultant, and what happened was back then we didn't have like Facebook groups for Scentsy, we didn't have team pages, we didn't have, honestly, like all the resources you have today. Excuse me, we did not have them back then. Excuse me. But we did have this thing called the forum. We had a Scentsy forum, which is basically like there were topics you could go look at, and there would be all these chat files about certain topics, and it was exclusively for Scentsy. Well, there was this forum about fairs and shows, and I started seeing all these pictures of people having these displays with their tables, and they would like set up somewhere and sell Scentsy. I was so new to this, I had no idea that was a thing, but for me, I saw that and I thought to myself, I think that's the way that I want to build my business. I think that that's the route I want to go. That's how I got into events. I saw what could happen, and for me and my lifestyle, I was working full-time, plus I had a part-time job, plus I did Scentsy. And the thought of doing home party after home party after home party to meet customers was fun, but I loved the idea of kind of jam-packing everything into a weekend and meeting as many people as I possibly can in 2 or 3 days and meeting the same amount of people that maybe it would take me 10 or 15 parties to meet. Does that make sense? That was kind of the reason I wanted to do events. It was more about a volume in a short amount of time thing for me than having to spend 10 or 12 or 15 weeks doing parties, okay? Now, let me give you this caveat. I do think home parties are magical, and we are going to do a Rockstar Rally on home parties when we start back up again. I'm going to do a mock home party for you. I'm going to show you a home party display. I'm going to do a presentation for you, do's and don'ts, all the tips and tricks, because I do think home parties are magical. And when people come to home parties and they see Scentsy, they have these light bulb moments and they think like, oh my gosh, this is fun. Or, oh, I'm smelling this in person and seeing things in person. I'm sitting on the floor with my friends and sipping wine and smelling testers or drinking coffee or whatever. And it's a good time, and people have these light bulb moments where they think, I could do that. That looks like fun. Those kind of things very rarely happen at events. Now, you can recruit at events, which I'll talk about later, but those light bulb moments that are sort of organic and people come into the business so easily, it really does happen at home parties. Also, at home parties, you're spending 1, potentially 2 hours with people. You're able to build sort of meaningful connections in that 1 to 2 hours, and it's a more intimate setting. You're able to get to know people, let them get to know you, and so relationships that start at home parties are often deeper, quicker than relationships at events, because it's sort of a transaction at events. And so you have to, I'm going to teach you some things to learn as much as you can about people as quick as you can when you are dealing with people at events. So let's talk about, first things first, question I get all the time: how do I find events? How do I find them? How do I book them? Where do I go? So when I booked my first event back in 2011, it was a log home show that happened at a large civic center in Roanoke, Virginia. And so basically, have any of you ever been to like a home and garden show at a convention center or a civic center? It was a big show like that. It's a 3-day weekend. You buy a ticket to get in and go as a patron and go and look around all these booths, and you look at ways to improve your home. Well, this log home show was similar, but it's geared towards people building log homes, who have log homes, whatever. So I thought, this is perfect. This is Scentsy. No flames, no smoke, no soot. Perfect for a log home. Plus, people are in a space where they're looking for stuff in their home. Let me try this out. It ended up being really, really fabulous. So much more than I expected. Let me tell you how I found it, though. I was living in Roanoke, Virginia at the time, and I went to the convention center's website and I looked at their calendar of all of their upcoming events. So that's the first thing I'm going to tell you to do. Look at civic centers, convention centers, Mason lodges, anything in your town, in your area that has events at it. Festivals, look at fairgrounds, festivals, a lot of streets a lot of downtown areas in the fall will roll out a street, you know what I mean, for a weekend and have like a festival for the day. Go look at your city and county's event websites as well and look at their calendars, see what they've got coming up. And then what you're going to do, Chamber of Commerce, same thing. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go do a Google search for that event. So let's say you go to your park and rec department of your county and you see that in September or October they're having an Oktoberfest, right? More than likely somewhere around you where you live is going to have an Oktoberfest festival in October. Then you're going to Google search that Oktoberfest. You're going to find its website, and on its website, you will see how to be a vendor or how to apply, or they will have a contact us section. You're going to contact them. I'm a Scentsy consultant. I'd love to be a vendor at your event. Can you tell me more about it, or do you have a consultant already? That's it. You're going to start right there. They're going to give you dates, pricing, if you have to have a tent or not, if you have electricity or not, all of these kinds of things, okay? So that's the first thing I'm going to tell you. Civic Center, Convention Center, Mason Lodge, Chamber of Commerce, Parks and Rec Department, your local city, look at their event calendars and see what you think see where you feel like you could fit in. And don't be afraid to think outside the box, okay? I have done log home shows. I've done home and garden shows. I've done Junior League Christmas shopping shows. I've done gun shows. Don't get me wrong. That's a tough crowd. Okay. It is a tough crowd, but I've done it. Pet shows. I've done pet shows. I've done wine festivals, beer festivals. I've done a bacon festival. Anything. Scentsy is good for anybody, anywhere, okay? So don't be afraid to think outside the box and don't go strictly looking for home shows. You also want to consider if people are doing fundraisers where you could go and set up and meet local people and donate your commission, right, from your sales that day. Because events, they're honestly about meeting people. You want to sell products, of course, okay? You want to move products. You want to cover your booth fee, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But events are about meeting people. That should be your number one goal, expanding your circle and meeting people. Events are about building new connections, finding new people you would normally never come into contact with if it weren't for that event. There are dozens and dozens of people who have joined my team personally over the years that I met at events. Some of them joined at the event in my booth. Some of them joined several months later, and some of them joined several years later. But the event is where I met them, and that's where I started the relationship, and then I took it from there. Never underestimate the power of connections that you build at events, whether they purchase something or not at that moment, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is you can go to Google and you can look fairs and festivals, XY town, September, okay? Use Google. Use a Google search. You're going to find event calendars. Dig deep. Go to page 2. Go to page 3. Don't just look on page 1. And you have to call and contact everything that you see. You have to reach out. The first question you ask is, do you have a Scentsy consultant? That's the first question you ask, because you don't want them to string you along if they already have someone. And you don't want to get your hopes up if they already have someone, okay? So make sure you ask that question first. You say, I'd love to be a vendor. Can you send me a contract? Okay, that's how you book them. The other thing is Facebook a lot of times will have upcoming events in your area. So you can use Facebook to look for events to see what's coming up in your area. Now I'm going to give you two tips about this. Number one, in February, I booked my calendar for November. Okay? So don't be like, I looked for July and I couldn't find anything. You need to be looking for the fall right now and Christmas. That's where you need to be looking, and potentially even next spring. You might find some things that pop up in July or August or September, so do swoop those up and take them. But you want to be looking a little bit further out, because if they already have a Scentsy consultant in your July or your August or September thing, maybe you need to look a little further out when someone isn't. So that's the first thing to consider. The other thing to consider is don't be afraid to travel a little bit. Don't be afraid to get outside your town. If you've called everything in your town and your city and your county and they're all booked with Scentsy consultants, well, then it's time for you to expand your circle a little bit. I have done events in other states. I have driven 3 and 4 and 5 hours for events. I have driven an hour and a half into an event and home every day for 2 weeks. I've done that. I've driven an hour and a half. I've done 2 hours there and 2 hours back every day for a 3-day event. Now, I've stayed at a hotel before. I've stayed at a friend's house. Get creative. Don't miss those opportunities. Okay? And when I go and do those events in other places, do you know what I tell people? I say, look, I don't, when they ask me, are you local? I'll say, no, I live 2 hours away, but I actually have customers all over the country and I can take great care of you. Or if it's someone that I feel like is interested, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, you know what? No, and we need local Scentsy consultants here. I'm meeting a lot of people here that need a local Scentsy consultant, so I'm looking for someone to join and take all these customers. Okay? That's another reason to go and do Scentsy events outside of your area. Huge, huge, huge. So that's how you find them. That's how you book them. Let's talk about cost of events. Okay? Cost of events. You should never go into debt for an event. You should never get strapped for an event. And sorry, my voice is so hoarse tonight. I keep needing a drink, but I'm afraid I'm going to choke. If someone comes back and says an event is $400 or $500 and you're like, man, but I would love to do this event and this is like a big event and I know it would be awesome, but you've never done an event before and $400 or $500 is a lot of money to spend, I'm going to say don't do it. Start small and work your way up, okay? There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of events for $100 or less. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of events for $50 or less where you can get a table here or a booth space here. Start at one-day shows, one-day fairs like a flea market that pops up or a farmer's market that happens in your town. Start small and work your way up, okay? There are some events. I have done events that cost me $25 and I have done events that cost me $1,200 and everything in between. I've done them all. Some of the larger ones may be worth it, but you have to sell enough inventory to cover your booth space. Let's say a show costs $500. I don't have to sell $500 to break even. I have to sell $2,000 to break even, because on $2,000 is where I make $600 commission. You see how that makes sense? When you book a show for $500, you have to sell at least $2,000 just to break even on the show. Okay? And you always want to break even on your shows. But your whole goal, don't forget, at events is meeting people, expanding your circle, because you could meet your next rockstar recruit that becomes an SSD under you and changes your business forever at an event. You never, ever know who you could meet. Okay? Start small. Look for events that are under $50, that are one-day things, a few hours, maybe in a Mason Lodge or a hall somewhere or a craft show. Look for these kinds of things. You're going to see a lot of these shows pick up in the fall festivals. A lot of high schools will do fall festivals and craft shows and stuff like that in the fall or at Christmas time. So be looking for things like that, and usually those are fairly inexpensive. They're one-day events. You get a table, take what you've got, okay? So that's how you look for events. That's how much you pay for events. And if you have a question, like if an event comes back to you and you have a question like, is this too much? Is this not enough? Should I do this? Feel free to message me. I've been doing this a long time so I can help you work through some of the things. Some things you want to consider are, what are the dates? I just did a 3-day show back in May, and the Sunday was Mother's Day. So that could be like a hit or miss kind of day. So I really had to consider it a 2-day show. A Friday and Saturday, right? Because Mother's Day, who knows if people are going to show up to that thing on Mother's Day. You want to consider that. You want to consider where it's being held and what kind of crowd it's going to draw. You want to consider, do they have to pay to get in? Okay. Things that are free to come to often have more visitors, but a lot of times potentially they're lookers and not purchasers. But that can be okay, again, because it's about meeting people. One of my very, very, very best shows that I've been doing for the last 8 years is a completely free show to get into. Completely free. So that's how you find them. That's what you should pay for them. Let's talk about logistics. And let me talk about products on hand first. I think you should have products on hand if you can. Okay? If it's not there, people aren't going to buy it. If it's there, they can buy it. They can't buy what you don't have, okay? They can order what you don't have, but the likelihood of someone giving you their money and not walking away with products is much less than the likelihood of someone giving you their money and walking away with products. If you go to an event and you have stuff at your table to sell, you could sell $1,000. If you go with nothing or just display items and you want to take orders, you could take $200 in orders. It really can be that drastic of a difference for people. Think about your own self. Think about the impulse buys that we make all the time when we see something pretty or shiny that we like, or when we grab that extra bag of chips or candy bar or water, even in the checkout aisle at Target or Walmart or wherever. It's the same kind of idea. But with product on hand, again, do not go into debt. Never, never, never. Be smart with your host rewards. Because you're a consultant and you have host rewards every single month, be smart with your host rewards. Use your free and half price products to get products to sell at events. Get things that people want. Scentsy bars, Scentsy bars, Scentsy bars, Scentsy bars. And you can build up your inventory over time. Start somewhere, but build up your inventory over time. Don't feel like you have to jump in and have thousands of dollars worth of inventory, because you don't. Okay? You absolutely do not. When you are getting inventory for events or thinking of things to have on hand, it's going to be very tempting to be like warmer, 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 warmer. All these designs, I honestly sell probably 24 to 30 bars for every actual warmer that I sell. If that tells you how many more bars you need. You need bars, 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 bars for days. I'd rather see you have 200 bars and 10 warmers available than I'd like to see you have 50 bars, but you have 30 warmers to choose from. Trust me. Okay? I keep every bar on hand, every single fragrance. Because even if it's a scent that you're like, this is so disgusting, nobody likes this, I promise you somebody loves it and they're going to come to your table and be like, do you have weathered leather? It happens every time. You do? Oh my gosh, I can never find it anywhere. How many do you have? I have 6. Okay, I'll take 6. Every time. Okay? Keep every scent on hand. Now, you want to be seasonally appropriate. So right now, at events, I'm keeping lots of fruit and fresh things on hand. As soon as we turn the corner into September, what am I keeping on hand? Pumpkin, everything, spices, baked goods, cozy scents. You still have some fruit for everybody who likes fruit all year round, but you want to be seasonally appropriate. You go heavy into the season. Right now it's fruit and it's fresh. Fresh and clean is kind of happens all year, okay? Also, Luna. You will run out of Luna. No matter how many bars of Luna I buy, I run out of Luna every time, because someone will come up and they'll say, do you have such and such scent? Oh my gosh, I can't find it anywhere. I want 6. And then all of a sudden you're wiped out of that fragrance. It happens all the time. Luna is our #1 seller all the time in everything we make. So for example, I'm not kidding you, I do an event at Christmas time and I will have 42 bars of Christmas Cottage, 42 bars of Very Snowy Spruce, 42 right? But I will have 60 bars of Luna and still sell out of Luna. It's just how it goes. Trust me. Always have Luna and keep everything else on hand seasonally appropriate. I go 6 deep on everything, and some things I go deeper on. Like 9 or 12 for something like Luna, Amazon Rain, Clean Breeze, Black Raspberry Vanilla, Blueberry Cheesecake, those cult favorites. And then things that are kind of like, you know, weird lilacs and violets, sun soaked petals, weathered leather, you can keep 3 on, it'll be fine. But wax, 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 wax. When I'm ordering for events, I think of, and I'm ordering inventory for events, this is the way I think of it. How many customers do I want to meet? Let's say over a 3-day weekend, I want to meet 100 customers, okay? In order to meet 100 customers, I want to sell 100 people a 6-pack. How many bars do I need to have? At least 600, okay? If I have 600 bars and I want to sell 100 6-packs, what am I going to do on Sunday afternoon if I have 12 bars left to choose from, right? So I really need to have like 900 bars if I want to meet 100 people and sell 6-packs to all of them. Does that make sense? I always think in terms of 6-packs because I don't really sell wax any other way. You're going to have someone who comes up and says, how much is 1 bar? And so I have this sign right here. It says authentic Scentsy bars, buy 5, get 1 free, 6 for $30. Notice I don't have the price of a single bar and I don't have the 3-pack. Because the 3-pack is worthless. You get $1 off, right? Who cares? But I have this. This is the same sign I've had for like 8 years. Okay, I just printed it out very simply. Authentic Scentsy bars, buy 5, get 1 free, 6 for $30. Laminated it. And then I take clear tape and I do it like this on my tabletop. So it hangs off the front of my table. This is my tabletop. It just hangs right there on the front. I have about 4 of these that sit on my event. Every event someone comes up, they start smelling bars. They look at the sign. They say, how much is just 1? I don't just say 6. I say they're 6 a piece or they're buy 5, get 1 free, 6 for $30. I want to reinforce this. Do you know how many single bars I sell? Let's say in a 3-day weekend that I sell $5,000, I might have sold 5 single bars. Maybe. Guess what people buy? 6-packs. Okay? Signage, that brings me to my next point, which is signage. Signage is incredibly important. Having prices clearly marked is incredibly important. The more objections you can eliminate for people, the better. Someone having to ask you how much something is enough of a reason for them to walk away. You want to make it as easy for them to purchase as possible, okay? So let me show you very simply my signage. I have this guy, like no joke, 4 of them all over the tables. I always hang this guy. You can find this on Google and print it out. Just look for credit card logos. Print it out, laminate it, take it with you so people don't have to ask you, do you take credit cards? They already know. And then I take these guys right here. Oh, you can't see that. Just kidding. This is a little brown paper. Here it is. This is brown paper cardstock. I just bought a pad of it at Target. Okay. Brown paper cardstock, and I use brown instead of white because white gets dirty and you can't reuse it, but brown, nobody knows if it's dirty and you can reuse it all the time again and again and again and again. So I cut it into little squares and I just fold it just like you would a little tent table thing, and I write the price on it, $45, $50, whatever the price of the warmer is. And let's say I have the warmer, here's the warmer box, and I have the warmer sitting on top of it. I'm just gonna stick the price tag right there. Just like that. Okay? Then I've got the warmer sitting right here. Nobody ever has to ask me how much anything is because the prices are clearly marked. And then these I reuse again and again and again and again at every show. Okay? So that's a couple of things about signage. Everything should be clearly marked. Do not make them ask you how much something is. That is enough reason for someone to walk away. Okay? while someone is sniffing. If someone comes up and says, how much is one? I say, oh, they're 6 a piece, or they're buy 5, get 1 free, 6 for $30, and they start to smell. I'm going to tell them, I'm going to say, look, if you like that bar right there, they're kind of put together, so you might like some of the things around it. Oh, you like that Amazon Rain? You got to try Luna. Smell Luna. And I'm going to have them smell Luna, and they're going to love it. Now they have 2 bars in their hand. They're working their way up to a 6-pack. Okay, you're going to help them suggest the first couple of fragrances for them to find 2 or 3, and then let them do the rest so they don't feel pressured by you. After they give you the 6, this is how I sell $5,000 in 3 days, okay? After they give you the 6, and I only do this because I know what combine and saves are. So after they give you the 6 bars, I'm going to look at them and I'm going to say, okay, now look, you're already getting 6 bars. I actually have a special deal. You can pick any 2 warmers in the booth and get an extra $10 off. That is the perfect Scentsy system. And they're like, oh, seriously? I have to get 2? And I'm like, yeah, it's 2. They're like, okay, let me look. They start to look. 2 warmers, 2 warmers, 2 warmers, 6 bars, all day long, all day long. All day long, no problem. I just turned a what would have been a $6 or $12 sale into an $85, $75, $95, $100 sale again and again and again and again. When I order inventory, I order in perfect Scentsys. Okay? I order in the perfect Scentsy, so I'm not losing any money. You don't want to do this where you lose money, but you order in perfect Scentsy, and then you pass that savings along to the customer. You show them how they can get the very best deal. And it really is the perfect Scentsy. That is, if you look in the catalog, that's the biggest savings that we can get, is the perfect Scentsy system. When they get 2 warmers and 6 bars, they save $15 in total. And it's really about helping them get the Scentsy at the biggest discount, okay? So know your combine and saves, and you can turn any sale into a large bundle sale, which is good for you and good for the customer both, okay? Let's talk about what goes into their bags. So I use the clear bags from Home Office, and in every single bag, I put a showcase brochure, not a catalog. They're way too expensive to give away at events, especially if you meet 100 people, way too expensive. And the product sheets, they don't do our products justice. They look terrible. They're not glossy. They're not a great representation of our products. So I use the showcase brochures. You can get 25 of them for $6 in Scentsy Success. And it's basically, if you've never seen these before, they're kind of like a size of a magazine, but it's full color and glossy and has absolutely everything in it except for combine and save package deals. But I give them this. Don't forget to make sure that you put your information on it as well, okay? Website, cell phone number, name, all of that. That goes in every bag. Because I want them, especially if they're a new customer, to take it home and fall in love with other things and become obsessed and say, oh my gosh, that comes in laundry, or what? I can spray my fabric with that, or oh my gosh, I didn't see this chicken warmer and that would match my kitchen. Oh my gosh, okay? So I also put a join flyer in every single bag. Every single bag. Because you never know where this is going to end up. Never. You never know who thought about it but didn't want to say anything, or who didn't know that it was an opportunity for them. Join flyer, every bag. Scentsy Success, very simple. $3 for 25. Put your label on it. Okay, this goes in there. I put a card with my picture on it and my family's picture on it. It's got my website, my story. It's got a QR code to my website as well. And when I put this card in there, I say, I put a little bit of information. This is me, this is my family, and here's my website where you can get more. That's what I say to every single person. So I let them know, and I show them, I say, this is my family. They're like, oh, it helps them know that they're shopping with an actual person, supporting an actual family. This is a small business, and it makes them feel good and proud to support you. Proud to be part of doing what you do. So this goes in their bag. This is basically another join flyer because it's my Scentsy story really quickly. And on the back, it has why they should join with a QR code to the join, but that goes in there as well. And then I put a little information about Scentsy Club. All these things go in every single bag. Every single bag, because I never want to miss this opportunity to connect with my customer and give them all the things that they need to know. Okay. Another great tip is when you hand them their bag, you can say something to them like, look, you're so personable and I had so much fun sharing with you. You might just take this home and love it so much that you decide you want to start your own Scentsy business. So I put a little information about that in the bag. Give it a look. It can be that simple. Okay? If you're too afraid to have a conversation or inexperienced to have a conversation, or you're not sure how to like talk about it with that person right then and there, you can say, I put this in your bag. I think you might love this so much you just want to join. And that will give them a reason to go look for it. Okay? So that goes in every single bag. Let's see. Next. Couple of props I want to talk about. I think that you should not buy fancy props and boxes and all of these things to transport to your events. I just use the actual Scentsy boxes, okay? So when you're creating your display, you want to have variations in height. That is incredibly important for visual interest. If you walk up to a table and it's all the same like this, I promise you it's not visually appealing and people walk away. You need to have variations in height. So you might have some boxes like this, some boxes like this. You might stack 2 boxes on top of each other and put a warmer on top that way. You might have a tall row here and then a shorter row here and then mini warmers in the front. You need to have variations in height. That's really important. Variations in color is also important. You don't want to have all the same color warmer. You don't want to have all white things, okay? You need to have all different types of things for people to enjoy. Now, personally, I do not put, I don't necessarily put warmers together I used to group warmers together by price point, but now we have so many different price points that it doesn't make sense to do that. So now I sort of group warmers together by style. So if someone is kind of farmhouse, I'm going to have all, my farmhouse warmers like in this general area. I'm going to have all my glitzy and glammy warmers over here. I'm going to have my pet themed warmers here, right? My colorful things over here. So my coastal things over here. I kind of try to put them together like that, but it's not necessary, but you can really decide how you want to work it as you grow. Okay. I love these guys. These were $5 from the Target dollar spot. They're like just little metal canisters or containers or trays. Target dollar spot is like my favorite thing ever for event props. In these, when I'm displaying stuff on tables, I use these for scent packs and scent circles and room sprays. And so I'll have it on my table and have my scent packs just kind of sitting in here like this, scent circles like this. It just makes it look neat and clean. Sometimes I do pods like that, just kind of in rows for people to look through. So I love the Target dollar spot for these types of things. A lot of people ask me how I light up all my mini warmers. Let me tell you this. If you are in a place where you can have electricity, even if it's difficult, you need to get electricity. Because if it's on your table, it should be lit up. That's simple. Which means you need to have a good amount of extension cords. Okay? I'll talk about that in a second. People ask me all the time how I light up my mini warmers. This is a giant 10 outlet power strip that you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot. Usually they're on an end cap. Okay? And so what I do is I take the mini warmer boxes and I lay them on their side and I do box, 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 box. This just sits on top of the box and I plug all the minis in like that. So it's just like a giant row of minis. I want to say this is like $40 maybe. You can look at your local hardware store and see what they have. I now have a couple of these because they just are really, really super convenient, and it's a great way to display your mini warmers all being lit up, because mini warmers just don't have the same effect when they're laying on their side on a table or they're sitting not on their base. They just don't have the same effect. So that's a really, really great solution. When you are beginning to do events for the first time, there are some purchases you need to make in the beginning, but the purchases that I made 10 years ago, I'm still using today, okay? So I have tables that I bought. I bought tables. A lot of places will not give you tables. And there's no point in renting tables and paying the money to someone else to use a table when you could just get your own, okay? I bought tables that fold in half. They're 6-foot tables. They fold in half. You can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart has them. And they're easy to transport. They have a handle on the top. So I bought 6-foot tables. I bought surge protectors like crazy because I plug in all of my warmers. So if I have 50 warmers on the table, all 50 are plugged in and lit up. And it's because I have surge protector into surge protector into surge protector into surge protector, and they're all connected and they're all lit up. And I promise you, the lights draw people in. You don't need props. You don't need plants. You don't need string lights. You don't need all these crazy decorations you think. The warmers are the decorations. The diffusers are the decorations. Our products are so stunning and beautiful, and they draw people in. Don't add all this other stuff. Black tablecloths and use the boxes. That's it. Use the boxes. Don't buy other things. You don't need them, okay? Surge protectors, extension cords, tables, tablecloths. Those are your big purchases that you have to make in the beginning. Okay, a couple other things before I answer some questions I saw in the chat. I always keep a little bag of like supplies that I need, and in this little bag I always have scissors. Trust me, because you'll need them. Okay, I'm just gonna give you like a little supply bag. And this sounds ridiculous, but I promise you it's so helpful. You need scissors. You're gonna need Scotch tape. You're gonna need a highlighter for something. Trust me, you'll need it. You're gonna need a Sharpie. You're gonna need all the pens. Sharpies are for making your price tags, okay, and or adjusting anything. You're gonna need all the pens. Because and then you're gonna need, you hear, change. You need change. Make sure you have change for people. And then you're going to need a way to accept credit cards. I use Square. This plugs directly into my phone or iPad. Square is an app that you can get, and you can swipe credit cards and they will deposit all of the money into your checking account. You can email or text people receipts. It's very simple, very easy. However, they do charge you a fee, okay? If I did not accept credit cards, I would probably sell about 5 to 10% of what I actually sell. So take credit cards. And no, do not write down their card number and bring it back to your workstation and try and process it to order something else, because you run the risk of someone walking away with your product and not having the payment. You run the risk of it getting declined. You want to swipe their payment before they leave your booth, okay? You can use Square. There are PayPal transactions. Now with Venmo, a lot of people at my booth, I'll say, do you want to use Venmo? And they just scan my little code on my phone. They pay me with Venmo right then and there, and that doesn't cost you anything. That's really, really beautiful. PayPal does have a swiper. There are several companies that have a swiper, so you can Google credit card swipe app or whatever. You'll find whatever works for you. Okay, so all of those things you want to keep in your bag, and this kind of tape, packing tape. Just trust me, you'll end up needing all these things. I use clear packing tape. I use these to hang up those signs I was telling you about and for other things, and I usually have duct tape as well. Lastly, remember when I said events are about meeting people, capturing, building new relationships and meeting people you normally wouldn't meet? You cannot build relationships if you don't know how to get in touch with someone. The number one most important thing that you need to know about events is you have to capture people's information, which means you have to do an order form for every single sale. Don't get lazy and don't skip this step. I know people that have done events and sold thousands of dollars and didn't write one order form. And they had no follow-up information, no contact information, no new friend requests on Facebook, no people in their VIP group. What a waste, okay? Do not do that. This means you fill out an order form for every single purchase. So I write down exactly what they get. I write down the cost, their total at the bottom after tax, okay? I write down if they paid cash or card, and then I hand it to them and I say, hey, can you fill out the top of this for me? I'm going to enter you into a drawing today. And nobody ever, ever, ever is like, no. Okay? If you give someone an order form and ask for their information, they're just like, oh, do I have to? Or no, thanks. Or they'll just put their name or just their email or just their phone. They won't give it all to you. But if you say, hey, I'm going to wrap your bag up. Go ahead and fill this out. And you hand it to them on a clipboard. I'm going to enter you into a drawing today. And they're like, okay. And they'll give you all the information. Here's a tip. If they give it back to you and it just has name and address, I circle all of this for them, by the way. If they give it back to you and it just has name and address, you're not going to say, oh, can I have your phone number and email? Because they're going to say, no, thank you. Instead, you're going to say, oh, what's your phone number? That simple change in the verbiage you use. And your email, and you're going to fill it out for them. And when you speak confidently that way, they're so much more likely to give you the information so that you can stay in contact with them, build that relationship, and help them find what they like and make sure they have a good experience with Scentsy from here on out. So that's how you capture people's information. Then after your event, do a drawing. Do a drawing of some sort. And you can decide before the event what you want to give away. You can decide, oh, I'm just going to give away a $25 gift card. I mean, whatever. You can decide what you want it, or it can be a free Scentsy bar. You know, it can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be a ton. But do the drawing, contact the person, let them know. And then you can contact every other person when you're doing your follow-up, and you can say, like, it was so nice to meet you. You didn't win the drawing, but I just did want to check on you and see how you're liking your Scentsy. Something like that. And start to build those relationships that way. So that is all the event stuff.